Welcome to today's Money Chat Now interview. In this portion of the show, I take the opportunity to interview interesting people and introduce you to their products, their services, or just their good intentions. Hey, if you'd like to be a guest on my show, you can go to thelarrysteinhouseshow.com/guest. That's thelarrysteinhouseshow.com/guest. Let us know why you want to be interviewed, and I'm sure we can make that happen. All right, I want to tell you a little bit about today's guest. So for over 2 decades, my guest has been helping bold entrepreneurs grow their income exponentially in workshops, coaching, and large venue speaking. As a coach, he takes the entrepreneurs on an extraordinary business adventure. They get to see their superhero selves that they've been hiding from themselves. My guest has a long history of helping entrepreneurs overcome their limitations and is why he claims to have a 100% success rate in clients achieving new levels of personal success. He says that he isn't for everyone. By the way, neither am I. But if you're committed to experiencing the greatest version of yourself, then you're going to want to listen to this great interview with my guest, Coach Dan Gordon. Hey, Dan, welcome to the show, man. I'm so excited you're here.
Larry, thank you so much for having me. This is just awesome. I love what you're doing with this.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that as well. That's pretty nice. All right, so you're one of these guys who, I've been following you for a little while. I know you for a little while. I've spoken to you for a little while. I even know one of your very fascinating clients who has actually been a speaker at Investor Schooling, which is pretty wild. But tell me exactly what it is you do, because it seems to be an enigma to me.
Well, Larry, when anybody asks me what I do, my response is I'm a troublemaker.
I like it.
And thank you. I knew you would. And the reason I'm a troublemaker is because I make trouble. I disrupt. We all have our ways of being. We get up in the morning, we have our patterns, the way that we talk to people, the way that we interact, the way that we sell, the way that we do business. It's all patterns. And the patterns work, right? There's nothing wrong with it. But Larry, when you want to take that next step, when you want to grow your business, when you want to expand exponentially, it takes a tremendous amount of disruption.
Sure.
And our system, our DNA, our ego minds are designed to not do anything new, right? Our ego mind says, our old brain says, look, if things are going along fine, if you're not, getting chased by a saber-toothed tiger or falling off a cliff, or if you have food and a roof over your head, don't make any changes, right? Even if you want to, everything inside of us says don't do it, right? It's like when I went skydiving, right? I was all about skydiving until the guy opened the door and I looked out like, holy crap, what did I get myself into here, right?
Sure.
And so Larry, if at least once a month, I think it should be once a week. If once a month you're not saying to yourself, holy crap, what did I get myself into here? Man, you were missing life, right? So what I do is I get in there, right? I start working with clients. I discover, like you said, the superhero self that they've been hiding from themselves, right? They don't recognize what amazing things what shows up when they show up in a room. Like nobody, we live inside of ourselves, right? So they don't get it. So I start recognizing that. And then I start giving them assignments, like do this, do that, right? Challenging their own illusions of what's possible and not possible.
All right,
right?
so I got to ask you a question on that. So what is the most interesting thing that you've actually challenged somebody with, and did they do it, and what was the result?
There's a couple things that come to mind on that. I think that, I'll say this. My favorite one was somebody who was just not, so look, I'll say this. I focus on sales. Okay, and the reason I focus on sales, Larry, is wherever you struggle in life, it shows up in a sales interaction.
I agree.
Right? So the fastest way I can help you is to help you increase your sales, because it's going to ask you to do something that you haven't done. Right? And that's where you'll start to see, oh, wow, like maybe I don't trust myself. Maybe I'm underpricing my services. Maybe I need to launch something new and I'm just afraid. Like that shows up in a sale. So I said to this client, I want you to lose this next sale, right? This sales meeting that you're going on, right? I want you to be so pushy because this person was afraid of being pushy. Well, I don't want to hurt someone. And I said, I want you to be so pushy that the other person literally gets up and leaves the meeting.
Wow.
Right. I want you to be relentless. Right?
I'm actually laughing because I use that technique to close people.
Right?
But it's your story, so I'll let you continue with it.
Yeah, but and the reason that you do that, Larry, and the reason I asked this person to do it is because they were stopping themselves
Sure.
right at the point where they were about to help someone past the limit of their fears. And that's all sales is. And you know that, right? Somebody wants a change in their life. They're afraid of the change, just like I talked about before, the ego mind. They're afraid of making that change. They're afraid of spending the money. They're afraid of doing something new, right? So as a salesperson, you have to gently guide them pass over the hump of their fears into a world where they're happily engaged with your product or service.
Absolutely.
Now, if you give up on the sale right before that hump, get them over the hump, you have failed them. It would be like somebody in an alcoholic intervention was saying like, "Hey, you really got to go to a facility to get help," and the alcoholic going, "I'll think about it," and you going, "Okay, great, you're going to think about it," and walking away, right?
Right.
That person, God forbid, they're going to go into a bar, they're going to run into a school bus and kill people, right? So you have to be willing to move yourself and them. So the reason I asked that person to do that, because I wanted them to realize just how far they can truly go before someone will get up and leave the room. And they came back to me and they said, it was unbelievable. Like, I couldn't believe how rude I was being.
Right, and
they still hung in there with me.
I know, and how much the person takes it.
Right.
So it's funny because I did the same thing, so I know exactly what it is. And I'll tell you, I know, again, I'm interested in your story, but I also noticed that,
please,
that if I'm in sales, right, and there's a point in my head where I'm like, all right, I don't care anymore. This guy's annoying me. The person I'm selling is annoying me so much that I don't even care if he buys anymore. So I just want to see how annoying I can be and how disruptive I can be. And the funniest part is most of those turn into sales because I do that.
Right. And part of that, Larry, is because you have surrendered your attachment to whether or not they buy.
Right.
And the minute you do that, and I teach this in my sales training, which I call ethical sales, the minute you surrender your attachment to whether or not they buy, oh my God, it's like shooting fish in a barrel. It's so easy. But in order to get to the place where you surrender your attachment, that's the key.
Yeah, and you're right. It's funny because it takes a little while, and it always takes a while. It doesn't.
It does.
I'll walk into every sales presentation, or every, even if I'm closing, whatever it is I'm doing, I'm walking every one, going, all right, I'm going to close this in 5 minutes, and then 30 minutes later, I'm like, I freaking had enough. I want to go home. I'm tired of this, and that's when I close them. And it's funny because even no matter how many times I do it, I can't walk in with the attitude that I don't care. Even though I don't care, like I don't need the sale. I
know, right?
But I can't walk in with the attitude because I guess it's my ego that says I'm not going to allow myself to walk in with that attitude. So I'm pretty impressed, man. You definitely know stuff that no one I've ever spoken to knows. Now, I don't know if you ever read the Jordan Belfort book, The Way of the Wolf. You actually would like that.
No, I haven't.
You actually would like that.
Oh.
Book. So it's something called straight line
put it on
selling.
the
And
list.
I'm not trying to sell his book, but you might want to take a look at it. But you might want to take a look at it. When I read this book, I realized that that's exactly how I sell. Now, I also just realized what you just said is exactly how I sell too. So you find some of the greatest salespeople in the world, and I find it interesting that they may call it something else, but they're all doing the same exact thing. But I got to ask you something now, because this has got me a little baffled. Because you've got a book called I'll have Mike bleep it out later. But you have a book called Selling is Bullshit. So how does that work?
Yes. So the reason I wrote that book is
you can say
because,
it. I'll bleep you anyway.
All right. The reason I wrote Selling is Bullshit is because that's the way most entrepreneurs think. Right? Most entrepreneurs, they get into the bit like, they invent a new kind of pencil or something, right? And they're so high on their, it does this and it does that. And it records everything like you got to buy, right? But they have no idea how to sell it. They're so high on the product that they don't develop the tools of sales. And that's the most important thing. It is more important than your product because in order to sell something, and I mean anything, you must be influential. And if you're unwilling to learn the language of influence, then you will fail. Right. And so I wrote this book specifically for people who don't like selling, to get them, because somebody said, selling's bullshit, man. And I'm like, oh, that's a great title for a book.
That's
right?
great.
And so I wrote that. And look, I don't like books. I don't like reading. I have no attention span. And so I wrote this book, and I added free online practices, right? Because we retain so little from books. Books are such a waste of time because the amount of time that we put into it and what we retain is so small. So each chapter has a free online practice where you fill out things, and it cements the knowledge in your head.
That's great. And how can people get this book?
Well, here's what I want everybody to do. I don't want anybody to spend a dime with me. What I want you to do is to get my book called Jumping the Gap, Kill Your Story and Take Action.
Jumping the Gap, Kill Your Story and Take Action.
Because as you know, Larry, most people are locked into a story. It's too expensive. I don't have the time. Maybe I'll do it later. And every story that we tell ourselves feels as if it is a legitimate reason, not an excuse, but a reason.
Sure.
So I wrote this short book called Jumping the Gap, Kill Your Story and Take Action that I give to people for free. And the reason I ask them to read this short book first is because if you're going to sell, you got to get out of your story first, right? And so here's how to get that book. Just text the word GAP, G-A-P, to my cell phone, 213-409-8366. Text GAP, G-A-P, to 213-409-8366. And you'll get a link immediately. You don't have to do anything else. You don't have to sign up for anything. Great. You get a link, and it just shows up on your cell phone.
Well, I'll tell you what. Hold on one second. We're going to take a break real quick, and I'm going to come back. And when I come back, I'm going to ask Dan to sell me something. I'm going to test him. And I'm going to have a little bit of fun with this. All right, so we will see you in about, there you go. We'll see you in about 1 minute. Hey, I'm Larry Steinhouse, and one of the most misunderstood things in America is money. That's why I've written this book. It's called Money Hacks, because everything you think you know about money is wrong. And I'm telling you, everything you think you know about money is wrong. When you read this book, you will learn things about money that you did not know. You will even learn if money can buy you happiness. I have a full chapter dedicated to that. You're going to definitely want to read that. I talk about how to use other people's money to buy real estate. I talk about how to save more money, and I even talk about how to rebuild your credit score in this book. There are 22 amazing chapters in this book. This book is now available everywhere. It's available on Amazon. It's available on barnesandnoble.com. And you can order this book right now, and you'll have it in 2 days, and you'll start learning things about money that you never knew before. So order the book right now. Go to Amazon, go to barnesandnoble.com, and order the book, Money Hacks by Larry Steinhouse. All right, welcome back to Money Chat Now, and this is the interview portion, and we are currently interviewing Dan Gordon, Coach Dan Gordon, that is. And if you'd like to be a guest on this show, you can go to thelarrysteinhouseshow.com/guest. That's thelarrysteinhouseshow.com/guest. Tell me why you should be interviewed, and I'm sure we can make that happen. All right, I got to get back to Dan here because I'm going to make him actually sell me something. I'm going to give him a test because this is one of the greatest tests that salespeople can ever give another salesperson. So let's have a little bit of fun with this. You ready, Dan? Sell me your headphones.
Okay. And the first thing I'm going to do, Larry, is I'm going to tell people what I'm doing as I'm doing it, right? Because I want to educate as I do it. Okay, is that okay?
Or do you want to do it first and roll back?
Okay. And then recap. Okay, fine. Okay, so cool. When you're doing an interview, Larry, what's the most important thing to you?
The most important thing to me is that everything works the way it's supposed to work.
Great, good. And so when things are working and you're in the interview, what's important then?
I don't know. Well, the quality of, I guess the quality of the interview, the questions I ask, the answers I get, the guest participation.
Yeah, guest participation. I really love that you said that, because getting people to participate in an interview can be really difficult. Like you do your show, I do my podcast called For Badass Entrepreneurs Only. And getting people to open up and participate is often really hard. Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. And so one of the things that I've learned, and I'd like to share with you, is that people betray their secrets in ways that they don't realize. Would you agree with that?
I'm not sure if I understand that.
Okay. So then let me give it to you this way. You're interviewing someone,
Right.
and you ask them a question, and they go like this. Their eyes go up, and they go, right? Now you've just hit on something great, right?
Or something that was great or something embarrassing.
Right, but it would be good for the show to
Sure,
find
yeah,
out what that
absolutely.
is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Like that's a thing that you don't just skip over, right? Because you're good, Larry, at reading people's expressions, right?
Sure.
So the other thing that you have to be good at is hearing the subtleties in people's speech. And the reason that I wear headphones is because sometimes I just hear
I don't want to know why you hear them, why you wear them. I want to know why I should buy them. I want you to sell them to me.
So we're engaged in that process right now. What you're looking for, Larry, is for me to sell something, right?
I'm throwing a rock at you.
Right. And so what I'm telling you is that you're missing half of your interview, Larry. You're missing half of your interview. I'm looking at you with that dumb little earbud in one of your ears, and you're missing half of the interview.
Yeah, but what would I look like if I wore headphones in this interview?
So
in my beautiful set, my beautiful set, and my beautiful,
right.
My beautiful, by the way, nobody can see the earbuds but you because you have a different camera angle. And so,
okay.
So please understand that it's very different, very different view from what they're seeing, what you're seeing.
And so then the question is, Larry, what's the most important thing to you? Is it how you look? Is it your ego, or is
Absolutely,
it the quality of your? Okay, well then I can guarantee you the headphones aren't going to cover up your jacket. But what's most important is I want you to be more successful. I want your success to increase in your show, and I know if you have a quality pair of headphones like I have, your success will increase. And the thing that I'm going to do, Larry, on top of this, is I'm going to share with you my knowledge of micro expressions when it comes to auditory, because I have a unique perspective on that. And I'm going to give you a list of 10 things you should be listening for in every interview. Whether you buy these headphones or not, I'm going to give you a list of 10 things that you should be listening for in every interview.
All right. I'm going to stop you for a minute, Dan. Because I like what you did, but I told you I was going to trick you, right?
Yes.
So here's the first question, and let's reverse it for a second. The first question I would say is, hey, Larry, do you have any headphones? Ask me that question.
No, because the fact that you're not wearing headphones tells me that even if you have them, they aren't valuable to you, right?
No,
so the first thing I have to do, Larry, is make these headphones valuable.
Expensive headphones in my studio that are made because we do radio shows in the studio as well. So here's here's why I tricked you, because you can't sell someone something that they don't need. So the first thing you have to do is qualify whether they need it or not. And if they don't need it, I just walk away.
True, but the fact that you aren't wearing headphones, like that's
Understood.
So if I said, do you have headphones, and you said yes, then that would put me in a deficit.
Well, it would also but it also gives you the objection later on. You also have the objection. I'm going to have fun arguing this one because it gives you the objection.
Okay.
So now I know what the objection is before I even go in. And if I can't overcome the objection before I even start selling, I'm going to go home.
Okay, but here's my method of ethical sales, which is I want you to be in a better position when I leave than when I show up.
Sure.
So even if you don't end up using these headphones, buying these headphones, I want you using headphones on your interview.
Well, I can't, because when you see the finished product of this, you'll understand why headphones don't work in this environment. But I had a little bit of fun with you, and I feel really bad because I feel like I hurt you there. But it's just something.
No, you didn't. No,
this is something that I learned very early on in sales is don't try to sell something to someone that they don't need. So whenever I test somebody, I immediately test them with the fact that I don't need that item.
Well, I'm going to push back on this. Hold on.
Sure.
Hold on. I'm going to push back on this because never ask a question where you don't know the answer. Never ask a question. And so if if I say to you, do you have a set of headphones? Then I don't know what that answer is, and
Well,
that puts me in a bad position.
Yes, then do you like them? What brand are they?
But that's your method of selling, Larry. Okay, so
okay, I got you.
So here's where I start and
Right.
end, and this is why I call it ethical sales. I want you to be in a better position when I leave my selling
Sure.
situation than when you go in, right?
So what you did, I liked.
You,
You said, "Where are my headphones that I have?" Which I liked. Which is exactly what you're doing. But I want to do this because we only have 5 more minutes.
I don't want
to
to.
stay I got other stuff to talk to you about that I know is really good. I just
But this will help you be
we have a time
unattached,
frame.
Larry. I'm
All
trying
right,
to help you be unattached in your
Do
sales.
it then. Do it. Go for it. Tell me.
No, please go ahead.
No,
Go
the
ahead.
only
Go ahead.
one problem is we have 5 minutes. So I don't want to. If we stay over here, then we can't go some of the things that I really want to know
Okay,
about.
let's go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what do you think?
Hit
Like,
it.
why do you think most businesses fail? Because they have salespeople like me.
No.
was a
You're
joke.
an amazing salesperson. They fail because they run out of money, Larry.
Yeah.
Money is
Sure.
when it comes to business, money is the most important thing. It is the gas that fills the tank of the car. If you and I want to go to Disneyland and I have this amazing car, but no gas in it, we're never going to get there. So you go into business, you have to be focused on sales and money. How much money do I have? How much money am I bringing in? Money. Money has to be the most important thing in the start of any business because most businesses fail. Statistically, they run out of money.
Yeah, so it's funny you say that because I've been in several businesses, and you're absolutely right. I've noticed that even no matter how many times business I start, I've noticed one thing. I've noticed that I thought I would need this much money to start, and I always needed 6 times that amount of money.
Yes.
And then eventually I either borrow it all, or I say, you know what, I'm never going to get it, so it's time to shut down. So you're absolutely right. And I've been a serial entrepreneur since I was 12, and sure enough, that's exactly it. I run out of money. Either it's advertising money, or it's rent, or whatever the situation is. I had this great idea many years ago, and sure enough, that fell apart due to money as well. I finally got it up and running, and unfortunately, I blew through 9 months of every dollar I had, and I couldn't keep it going anymore. And it just definitely happens. So like, what happens? So people like me, I'm an entrepreneur. I try to grow my business. What are some common mistakes that you run into?
I really do center it around sales. The mistake people make, and I mentioned it earlier, is they get really high on their product. They think this product is so great, everybody's going to buy it. It's not. It's not that great. And there's a dozen other products just like it out there.
Right.
And your product being the best is not going to sell it because the world's crappiest I say this a lot. The world's best business coach is the night manager at Foot Locker. And the world's worst business coach lives on the Pacific Coast Highway in a beach house because that coach is a better salesperson, right? So do not get high on your product. Get high on your ability to influence, promote, and sell your product.
Yeah, so I find that often too. It's funny. You got people that come to me like, I'm the best at what I do. First of all, how do you know you're the best at what you do? And here's another thing too. The other thing that I learned a long time ago, it's not the value, it's the perceived value. So all you need to do is convince the person that their perception of your value is incredible, and then you hopefully you give them that value. But that's the sale. I mean, they can't spend a year with a coach like you. They can't spend a year with you and then decide whether to pay you or not. They have to take the leap of faith based on a conversation or a meeting or whatever it is that you do that you started with, and they have to get their perceived value. How will this change my life? How will whatever it is that you charge, whatever the number is, how will me giving Dan this money make me make that money back or change my life, right? I mean,
and I love.
Yeah, sure.
I love what you just said. And in fact, anybody who gets my book, Jumping That Gap, Kill Your Story and Take Action by texting GAP, G-A-P, to 213-409-8366. I'm also going to send you my ebook called How to Choose the Right Business Coach. And I'll give you one thing out of that book. And this is the most important thing. Any business coach that you're interviewing, and you need to interview them, you have to ask them this one question. How are you, coach, going to make sure that I get paid back for what I'm paying you? Because if they don't have a plan to get you paid back, then it is a waste of your money.
So you say you have a 100% success rate. when you say that,
Mhm.
I'm skeptical that you have a 100% success rate only because are you not including the people who hire you and then say, you never mind, Dan, you know what? I gave you my money. I just don't want to talk to you anymore.
The reason I have a 100% success rate, and we could go deep into what the word success means.
So you only got 30
but
seconds,
we
so
won't.
you can't go that deep.
Okay, so 100% means that I am very, very particular about who I take on as a client.
Okay.
And I've had to fire clients in the past, but I've never been fired. And I will not take on a client if I'm not completely sure I can help them be more successful.
Yeah, one of my biggest disappointments of clients I take on is they don't show up. All right, Dan, real quick, tell people how they can get a hold of you and what you can do for them. And we're pretty much over, but quick.
Thanks. Just get my book, Jumping the Gap, Kill Your Story and Take Action for free. Just text the word GAP, G-A-P, to 213-409-8366.
All right, great.
Go
ahead, do it one more time.
GAP, 213-409-8366. Larry, this has been delightful. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
You got it, man. All right, I want to thank you all for watching the show. My name is Larry Steinhouse. I am the host of Money Chat Now. Money Chat Now is live every morning at 7:30 a.m. And, of course, you can find us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. And, of course, if you want to be a guest, reach out to me. Make it a profitable day.